going on? Welcome to the next episode of Talk Smack with Mac. I'm here with a special guest, man, another Florida football fan. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Blessed this morning, man. Afternoon, wherever you guys are at. Ready to talk some football, man.
Let's do it. I'm a Buccaneers fan. I'm from Las Vegas. I don't know how it worked, how it happened, but it happened. I see you're a Dolphins fan. What do you like about the Dolphins?
Man, I became a Dolphin fan because of Dan Marino. My step pops put me on. I'm actually from Los Angeles. We didn't have a team necessarily, so you know what I mean. I really gravitated to my step pops and his team, and ever since, Miami Dolphin fan, man.
That's
so
dope.
I like everything about the Dolphins.
Yeah. How do you see the Dolphin season going this year? And when do you want Tua to start, or do you want him to sit?
Okay, yeah. Man, I'm very optimistic. I mean, I think a lot of us fans every year, you know, we have this new revamped hope, right, of our teams.
Yeah.
But in particular, this year it just feels special, man, because I really love Coach Flores. I feel that there's an aura and you know, a culture change that we haven't had in a long time. And so I'm looking at 8-8, to be quite honest. I mean, I feel like we're going to improve from the 5 wins we had last year, but I really look for us to compete in 2021. And we have a lot of draft picks. So yeah, 8-8 is what I'm looking at. And then your second question, I'm sorry, was when it's just Tua start. Yeah. Man, well, at this very moment, we have 3 starting quarterbacks or guys that started in the NFL, right? Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh Rosen, and Tua. And then Tua eventually will definitely, you know, become the starter. But to answer that, I just don't think that we have to rush to it. Let's see what Ryan Fitzpatrick does. We have a new offensive coordinator in Chan Gailey, which worked with Ryan Fitzpatrick before and had his career numbers with him. So I think that we should run with the best guy out there. And I think Fitzpatrick is the best quarterback at this moment because he knows the offense better than anybody. Tua, maybe like the last couple games, sprinkle him in so he gets his ears wet. But that's practically it, man. I want to see him at the end of the season, not necessarily the full season.
Okay, I can see that, man. I know firsthand what Ryan Fitzpatrick can do when he's rolling. He has a spring of some very, very special games in the Buccaneers uniform. So it was short-lived. But the thing with Ryan Fitzpatrick to me is that 1 year he can have magical numbers and be great. Then the next year it looks like he shouldn't even be on a team. So it's like, which one are you going to get? And I feel like with the Dolphins, if he's rolling and he's hot, like you said, no need to rush to it, or let him sit back, let him learn the offense. But with that being said, what's up with Josh Rosen? It seems like he hasn't even gotten a chance yet. He just got lost in the mix along the way. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to Arizona, he had one of the worst offensive lines. Team was just flat out not that good. And, I don't think he got his fair chance, to be quite honest. I mean, this guy did beat Aaron Rodgers, and it was the reason why the Packers fired McCarthy ultimately. That was the last game. So Josh Rosen did do that. But besides that, he's been part of some bad teams in the Miami Dolphins last year. They were a team that was trying to find identity in guys that were even worth a damn to keep on the roster. And, he's just been an unfortunate events. I mean, then you get Murray there, he gets replaced, and now we got Tua, so he's definitely getting replaced. I think he's a solid quarterback. I mean, he's very young, but when I say solid, I mean like I see him as like a high end backup. You know what I mean? Like a guy that can come in and do the job. If he needs to play 2-3 games, that's what I see him as right now. And I know that's unfair because we haven't seen that much of Josh Rosen, but I just don't. He doesn't have that it factor, man. He was at UCLA. I hate to say this, but I feel like he's been spoon-fed in his life somewhat. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have that hunger like some of these guys do. And I think he's just too laid back. And, I mean, he's cerebral, but sometimes you could be too smart for your own good. And that's what I think he falls into that category.
Yeah, I could definitely understand because he did get a shot, even if it was a real shitty shot with Arizona. But like you said, he didn't flash anything. He didn't show promise. He was just he's just like, okay, he's kind of there. He was kind of filling the role for the time being. How do you feel about Miami's running game this upcoming season? I know Ryan Fitzpatrick led the team with rushing yards last season. I know that had to do with some injuries and stuff like that. But how do you feel that balance with the Dolphins next season?
That's a good question. Well, one thing that the Dolphins did do this year, which makes me optimistic, is that they went and go ahead and they went and invested in the offensive line in the trenches, right? So they got 3 new offensive linemen, 3 rookies. They signed a center that was a starter for the Patriots that played pretty well. Then we get Eric Flowers that he has some redemption with the Redskins. He's actually a better guard than he was a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with all that being said, the addition of Howard and Breida, I think they're gonna do solid. I don't expect too much. Like I said, offensive coordinator Chan Gailey throws the ball about 58% of the time. So I just don't see where the run game is definitely going to be, a big factor. It's just going to be a contributing factor, to open up the passing game in Chan Gailey's offense. So, I mean, Breida averages about 5 per carry career-wise. That's amazing.
He was a nice pickup. He was a really nice pickup for you guys.
Oh, heck yeah. I think it was like a 5th-round pick that we got him for, too. It was a steal. And then Howard is he's known to get you the 2-3 yards that you need. I mean, that's all he does. Like he's going to get you those 2-3 yards. So, on short distances, he'll do that for you. And actually, he's a pretty darn good pass blocker. So he might be there on the 3rd downs protecting whoever the quarterback is. I think it's gonna be solid, but I don't expect too much, man. It's not like none of these guys are necessarily superstars or have that flash that they could play a full 16 games. Breida has injury history, and he's a solid piece, a solid rotational running back. And then Howard, like he showed promise with the Bears, but then he doesn't
kind of
get
got
too
lost
much,
in that mix. When Cohen went to the
and then
he kind of lost that spot a little bit, and he hasn't really shown that he can still take it.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't really
back. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off. He doesn't show too much after contact, and that's where I ended.
Yeah, running back is a brutal position to play in the NFL, man. They take a beating, so it's like you could be magical 1 or 2 seasons, and then you could just fall off the flat, the face of the earth. So it's tough. How do you see Devontae Parker's next year? I know he put up some numbers last year. He had like 75 catches, 1,200 yards, and he was around like 10 double-digit touchdowns, right?
Yeah, I believe it was 8 touchdowns or something, or maybe it was double digits. I think it was 8 though. But yeah, he had like around 1,200 yards or something, or just shy of it. But Devontae Parker, he was drafted in the 1st round, about 5 years ago, and he showed a lot of promise. I was in love with the pick at the time because we had Jarvis Landry and Kenny Stills. So I felt like he was going to be like a 3-headed monster. Obviously, didn't work out. None of those guys are on our team besides Devontae now. But he had injury histories, man. He reminded me, even his body type and just his injury history was something very similar to AJ Green. That's how I see Devontae Parker. Then we had Adam Gase, which is a horrible coach, and he had beef with Devontae Parker. Like he'll be a healthy scratch, and it had fans scratching their heads because it was like a healthy scratch. Devontae Parker is a talented player. Why is he not out there? So that he has some kind of beef with Adam Gase. And then this last year, this is when he broke out. Gase leaves, and well, hey, some players just do well without Gase. Drake, a lot of people they just do phenomenal when they're not around that horrible coach. But I feel like Devontae's going to have a big year. Chan Gailey once again throws 58% of the time. Ryan Fitzpatrick had his career numbers with Chan Gailey over there in Buffalo and with the New York Jets. Throwing 30-plus touchdowns and, making some playoff pushes at least. So I think Devontae Parker, if he stays healthy, which he did last year for the most part, I think he's going to have another big season.
That's dope. All right, let's talk some fantasy. I know you're a big fantasy guy. You got the fantasy background.
Yeah.
Who's a must-have on the Dolphins for fantasy? And what is like a good round to get them in?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, Miami Dolphins were a wasteland for fantasy for so many years. But, man, just the guy we just spoke of, Devontae Parker is the absolute clear-cut number 1 player that you want on the Miami Dolphins. And his ADP, I believe, is in the 7th round. So that is great value because he was a top 10 fantasy receiver last year. Now, you can't look at last year's stats and be like, oh, well, copy and paste. I don't believe in that. But like I said, the offensive coordinator, Chan Gailey, likes to throw. Ryan Fitzpatrick had his career numbers. It just all fits perfectly, for Devontae Parker to have another great season. And I feel like, when it comes to the word bust, right, in fantasy, it's because they're not, reaching the expectations at their ADP. A guy in the 7th round is not going to lose or win your, your league necessarily. So he has great value there. And Devontae Parker is just that clear cut. Anyone else, man, I don't trust like Howard or Breida. To be quite honest, I wouldn't even give you that advice to go get those guys. I wouldn't tell you to get Ryan Fitzpatrick unless he's a waiver wire pickup. He did very well in fantasy last year. Very well. If you had Ryan Fitzpatrick in your fantasy playoffs last year, you maybe won if he was starting for you, because that's how explosive he was. He was even a top 10 quarterback down the stretch. So, but I wouldn't draft him. So to me, it's just Parker, dude. That's the only person I'm touching. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, disrespecting Gesicki. Tight end Gesicki.
Tight end, yeah. He was second on the team in catches last year, yeah.
Yeah. That's after Preston Williams went down with the injury, unfortunately. So he became second in charge. He's going to definitely be used out of the slot because Chan Gailey doesn't use his tight ends that often. So he's going to be used out of the slot, and he's a great threat down the middle, very athletic. So that's someone that you want to keep your eyes on if you didn't get a tight end or you want a backup tight end. You could have some value, maybe sneak there to that 10th spot in fantasy. But, yeah, Gesicki and Parker are the only guys I'm touching.
Okay. Well, that kind of sums up my other question. I was going to ask if there was a sleeper on the Dolphins that you would recommend.
Sleepers. Now, people know about Gesicki now, so he's not necessarily a sleeper, even though he's going late in rounds. But if I was going to take a sleeper, it would be the guy I just mentioned before that, Preston Williams. I was really high on him last year in preseason because he was just killing it, and I heard all these great things in camp. And people know about him, but because of that injury, he's even going undrafted sometimes. So I would keep my eye on Preston Williams too if you want to get, say, a sleeper, but I wouldn't necessarily go after him. I would wait, for the waiver wire to take his toll during the season and, see some of these weak matchups.
Okay.
And try to exploit them.
Well, that sums up all my questions, man, unless you have any for me.
Oh, I do, man. I do. As a
Buccaneers
fan,
hit me.
Of course, man. Look, check this out. So, obviously, Tom Brady is there. I'm happy he's out of the AFC East. Thank God. But now I've been a very big fan of Mike Evans. I dropped some posts that I was saying how I believe that Mike Evans is going to do better than Godwin. Most of the fantasy community will say Godwin's the guy because of Tom Brady and his, the people that played in the slot, Edelman, the Welkers, and all that. But I said, hold on. Tom Brady has never had or hasn't had, besides Randy Moss, an outside threat like Mike Evans. Okay, there's nobody that could, on the outside that Tom Brady has ever played with besides Randy Moss that's worth a damn. Okay, in his 20 years, and Mike Evans is single-handedly the second most talented player that he's ever had to catch the ball. So my question to you is, are you team Evans or team Godwin when it comes to who's gonna have the best production with Tom Brady being there?
So that's a funny question. Mike Evans is my favorite player, obviously, because he's a monster. And like you said, Chris Godwin can line up in the slot. He gets a lot of yards after the catch. He can run all the medium to short routes very well that Tom Brady excels at. But I'm going to roll with you, man. I think Mike Evans is going to have a bigger season. A lot of people don't understand. Mike Evans is not just a deep route guy. He can run every route in the tree. And with Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, they're going to mastermind some stuff and put some stuff together. They're going to line Evans up all over the field. They're going to put him in the slot. They're going to put him in the trips with Rob Gronkowski and Chris Godwin. How scary is that going to be? There's going to be a lot more options for him to run a lot more different routes instead of just that streaking route, because the Buccaneers were lacking it last year. So he really had to stretch his routes most of the time. So I'm going with Mike Evans, man. I could see him around like 75 to 80 catches or so, but I think he's going to have around 1,300 yards and double-digit touchdowns for sure.
Beautiful. And I say that too because, look, Mike Evans is going to make history this year.
He gets another 1,000-yard season.
And 7 seasons in a row since, his rookie year, whatnot. And it's just amazing to me. It's like, I love guys that are making NFL history. And, if his NFL history and fantasy football, how does that not mesh? Like, how does that not get through people's head that this guy is just not any receiver? This is a special receiver that's going to break Randy Moss's record. And that was also, Tom Brady's greatest target of all time. Like, now he has Mike Evans. He's going to make history with him. It's just
it's
a
all
beautiful
coincidence,
thing.
right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together, man. I know what it equals 4.
Right.
So,
I think Mike Evans is special,
is
man. The fact that he's going on to break that record of consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards to start a career. Look at all the different offensive coordinators that he's gone through. With Jameis Winston throwing the ball, you don't really know what you're gonna get. It could be a beautiful pass, or it could be right to the defense. You never know. So the fact that Mike Evans is gonna have another season under Bruce Arians, and now he's having the quarterback god come over, 43 years old or not, until Tom Brady stops being Tom Brady, he's still the man. You can't look at age until it starts actually playing a factor. And the fact that Tom Brady was able to do what he did last year with that horrendous Patriots offense, I mean, come on now. Does anybody think the Patriots are going to do anything on offense this season? No, because Tom Brady is gone. And now Tom Brady doesn't have not only one amazing wide receiver, he has 2 all-pro receivers, not to mention Cameron Brate, who may get lost in the shuffle at tight end. He's one of the best red zone tight end threats in the league. Yeah, I believe he's like top 4 or 5 in touchdowns in the last 3 or 4 seasons in the red zone. So he's a monster. O.J. Howard is still not lived up to expectations, but he has all the ability in the world. So is he going to take that next step? And then you got Gronk coming back too. Tom Brady's going to have so many options that it's going to be impossible to double team Evans as much as he was every single season he's been in the league. So he's going to have a lot of one-on-ones. And 43 years old or not, if Tom Brady sees Mike Evans one-on-one with anyone, he's going to throw it. He's going to let it rip.
Yeah, I agree, man. You saw when he had Josh Gordon, right? And this is not the Josh Gordon, the Flash that we know or we used to know, but he would just lob it up there and he would make the play. So these people that say that, Tom Brady doesn't have the arm strength, bro, he has great placement though. Like that's what people like. Everyone's so in love and infatuated with arm strength or a right receiver with speed, but it's about the accuracy, guys. Like that's what is the bread and butter. That's how people like Chad Pennington, Noodle Arm, even had a career because he just put it in the right place. So I have another question though. You touched on Gronk. Now, the Gronk that I seen when they won the Super Bowl was a Gronk that was beat up. I know he's had a year off in the CBD and whatnot, but he's an amazing blocker. He doesn't get enough credit for that. Gronk is an amazing blocker at the tight end position, and that's mostly what I saw the last time he played with the Patriots. Now, with this year off, do you believe that Gronk could be more than just a red zone target and a great blocker? Could he be some type of a vertical threat, or we've seen him at his best already, and this is, him plateauing?
He's been hurt a lot, man. I just don't think there's really going back to how he was in his earlier years before all the injuries that he had. But the Buccaneers don't need him to. They don't need him on the field 100% of the time. He could be on the field for 50% of the plays, 40% of the plays. Another great blocker, like you said, coming off the edge to seal the edge for Ronald Jones to come around. Or him mixing O.J. Howard and Gronkowski blocking, and then you could throw Cameron Brate in to run routes and catch passes. Or you could only bring Gronk in on pass plays in the red zone and just let them do work in the red zone. There's so many options because they have 3 different tight ends that are capable of getting the job done. To answer your question,
I like that.
Do I think that he's going to be the Gronk of old? No, I don't. But I think he's going to be a healthier version than what we've seen last.
I agree with that. Definitely. And here's my last question about the Buccaneers, right? So a lot of the fantasy world, we always try to find who the next big thing is going to be. We look at these rookies and try to examine them, and in particular, because the ones that bang the most are not receivers, they're running backs, right? And you have a rookie running back in Vaughn that a lot of people are trying to, slowly are trying to, get the traction going and whatnot. And I just want to know what you think. Is there Rojo at a USC that hasn't shown like what he could really do?
All right,
or
so
is Vaughn going to be there?
I watch every Buccaneers game. Ronald Jones had 3 plays where he broke for 70 yards. that got called back with a holding or a block in the back or something that ruined that. If you add those 3 plays, people are saying a lot. The tune on Ronald Jones would be a lot different, because you add 200 yards, he's flirting with 1,200-1,300 yards from scrimmage. That's pretty solid. I think he can do a lot more. Peyton Barber's gone. Peyton Barber was that guy that gives you the 2 or 3 yards every time you need it, but nothing else. Now Ronald Jones is going to be able to get out there and prove that he's a bell cow. We drafted him in the 2nd round, and to me, 2nd round guys, Nick Chubb, that's a bell cow. You got to prove it. And he's shown flashes in the passing game that he could catch the ball on screens or outs or little short routes. So with Tom Brady, the master Tom Brady throwing to running backs, I'm interested to see if he's going to take the next step. Vaughn definitely will get his options as a 3rd down back, but that's only if Ronald Jones allows him. If Ronald Jones exceeds expectations, I feel like Vaughn is just going to come in to give Ronald Jones a break. That's about it.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, and that's a great point about, the king of thinking and, Duncan, Tom Brady. I mean, James White, 70-plus receptions a year. So, and PPR, we definitely, fantasy guys are like, man, who is it going to be? Is it this Vaughn kid? Because, I mean, you had Bruce Arians come out, and I'm paraphrasing here a bit, but he was talking about how Vaughn kind of reminds him of a David Johnson. And we know David Johnson in his prime could be that 1,000 for 1,000 guy. So
yes.
I'm just like, very, very curious about, where he could go. I mean, I don't know if I heard other, negative things on Vaughn, like, the talent isn't there. My thing about Rojo, I mean, I'm from LA, so I've seen a lot of SC games. I live down the street. And I mean, I thought he was going to be a lot better than he's shown. I mean, I did not know about, those holding calls and that's, buzz killers. So hopefully with Tom Brady being there and these great tight ends that we said that could block, could open up some things for him. So I'm very excited to see what the Buccaneers do, for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, man. We have one playoff game in my entire time of watching football of 20 years. We won a Super Bowl in 2002, and we have sucked ever since. So I'm hoping everything goes good, man. I think only an injury or COVID is going to stop the Buccaneers this season.
Oh, man. Hey, I'm jealous, though, man, because you said you've only seen one game. Look, I'm a Dolphin fan, dude. I'm going to explain this to you. The last time that the Dolphins won the Super Bowl, my mother was born. The last time the Dolphins were in a Super Bowl, I was still my father's sack for another 6-7 years. So, I mean, man, I've seen my team go to the playoffs probably 3-4 times, and that's maybe. And I think Jay Fiedler was the last one that won a playoff game for us, and that was with our new offense coordinator, Chan Gailey, was also our coordinator back then in 2001 when we went to the playoffs and won. So, fast forward 19 years, maybe we get a playoff win, but I see my team
I hope so.
Up, man.
You guys are definitely going to have a better chance with Tom Brady being out of your division. Not having to face him twice a year is going to help everybody. So I'm interested.
Yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick could get it rolling and that young defense could fucking hold their own. You guys are going to be solid, man.
Oh, I think so, man. And it starts with head coaching, man. Coaching is, especially in the fantasy world, I've been dropping a lot of this behind-the-scenes MVP thing. And the theme of behind that is that, a lot of fantasy experts only talk about these players, and that's just so shallow. It's only, it's only like skin deep. And I want to go into, why these players are even successful. Bill Belichick said it best, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, but with Nick Saban, he said that, good talent can't overcome bad coaching. Okay, so, you guys have a great coach in Bruce Arians, and he has, Super Bowl credentials. He's been in the game for like over 30 years as a coordinator and all types of things, right? He has a great resume. Now, I bring that up because the Dolphins, I believe, with Coach Flores, I really think he's a really great coach, and he shows a lot of promise. Not like these other guys that came out of, under Belichick's tree. I think Coach Flores is one of them guys that is very special. And just in fantasy in general, like I was saying about coaching, it always starts at the top. Always starts at the top. That's why I believe, the Sean Paytons and the Saints they have successes and all those players under him because that's a great coach. You know, you can't show me one successful team without a great coach. I don't see it. And yeah, like in fantasy, man, that's one thing I always look at. I'm like, show me the coach. Let me see who this guy is. Let's go. Break it down, please, because it only goes, you know, so far with some of these players, man. And yeah, I don't know. I brought all that up just to say that.
Hey, no, it's a coincidence that good coaching and stability in the coaching, the head coaches for teams, when they have longevity in a franchise, that franchise is usually pretty well. Steelers are always good. Patriots have always been good. It's because they have stable coaches. One coach, believe in the scheme, give them a chance. It seems like nowadays everybody in every organization wants everything now, and it doesn't work like that. You got to give a coach and their team time. And if the scouting department and the coach are not meshing well, that's going to ruin it. It's not always on the head coach. So I feel you right there. They don't get enough credit because the greats get all the credit, but coaches that have great players, they don't usually get enough credit, and they really put in the time, put in the effort, write up the scheme. That takes a lot of time, man.
Oh, of course. You know, breaking down film. Oh yeah, you're right. I mean, we live in a society where it's instant gratification. It's what you're doing for me now. You know what I mean? Like at this point. So yeah, great things do take time to develop. I feel like the Browns know that now that they don't have Belichick, and you know what I mean. Like, so he did a great thing with the Patriots. So yeah, totally agree on that, man.
All right. Well, do you have any other questions?
Let me end it with a high note. Let's end it with a high note here. So week 1, you guys, you know, there's a lot of things going on. You guys are gonna go play the New Orleans Saints. Who's winning that division? Are the Bucs gonna come out on top, or is Sean Payton and Drew Brees gonna, you know, have their stamp and their hold on that the NFC South over there?
So it hurts my soul to say this, but I think the Saints are going to take the division. They have the continuity in place. They know each other. They know what to expect. They're building off, you know, some amazing seasons in a row. So they're already there. They already mesh. The Buccaneers, they have a shortened off season, if any. You know, it's weird. They're doing Zoom meetings and they're not really getting together. So they're not building that chemistry. You got a brand new old quarterback coming in. That's going to take some effort to gel with those receivers to find out where they like the ball, how they like the ball, how hard to throw it, how high to put it. That takes time. It takes effort.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tom Brady is great. I think it's going to come on quickly. But I think there's going to be, you know, some high points and some low points. But I could see the Saints going probably like 12-4, and the Buccaneers would be, I'm hoping, anywhere like 10-6 or 11-5 if everything goes well. It helps that you know, the Falcons are usually great one year and bad one year, so I'm not really expecting much from them. And then the Panthers, they're like just average to me. Teddy Bridgewater, he can be good, but he's like a dumper
garbage
manager.
Nice. He's garbage, bro.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
There's
Teddy
a reason.
Bridgewater, for everyone out there, is garbage. He's a nice guy, though. Nice guy. He's a garbage talent.
All right,
I'm just being real, man.
All right, hey, I try to give everybody a little bit of credit, but you got to put it how it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Nah, what they did at Cam Newton was disrespectful, man. I'd rather take a hurt Cam over Teddy Bridgewater. There's so many guys I can name that are way better than Teddy is. He only won games because of Sean Payton's scheme and because they had a good defense and the running game was still, you know, serviceable because Kamara wasn't his old self last year. And I'm going to end it with this, though. So I love NFL history. I'm a big junkie with it. And you have, you know, the GOAT in you know, on your squad now, and then you have Drew Brees on the other side there. They're both chasing, you know, who's going to have the all-time record for touchdowns. I feel there's a reason why Tom Brady went to the Buccaneers, and it's just more than, you know, being with Bruce Arians. He wants to prove to everybody that he's the GOAT, not only with rings but with stats. And, you know, Drew Brees and him and and Tom Brady are neck for neck for that all-time touchdown record. So who ends up ultimately with that record?
Drew Brees is younger, but there's a lot of talk of him retiring. I don't think Tom wants to retire for like another 2 or 3 years. He signed a 2-year contract to give himself more options to potentially sign again after that. I'm gonna go with Tom Brady, man. He's the GOAT. He has some amazing receivers and tight ends. He has so many options. So I could see him putting up 3,500 yards and 40 touchdowns because of the talent. He doesn't have to go out there and sling the ball too much, but if you give the ball to Chris Godwin on a slant route and he breaks for 60 yards because he broke a couple tackles, that's still 60 yards for Tom Brady. It doesn't matter how far he threw it. So I'm going to go with Tom Brady. He's the GOAT. And if he does come to Tampa Bay and wins the Super Bowl, he is not only the greatest quarterback of all time, he's the greatest athlete ever. He already has 6 Super Bowls. If he gets another one, he's the greatest athlete ever.
Yeah, because Jordan got 6. Brady would have 7. That would be crazy, man. I'm gonna counter that though.
That would be like Jordan getting a championship with the Wizards.
The Wizards. That was not happening. But yeah, let me see. So I'll counter that though. For me, I believe Drew Brees is gonna do it, and some similar to the reasons that you just brought up, the talent, right? The New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees have not had a wide receiver 2 in forever. Okay, forever. Emmanuel Sanders being there now is a great addition, very underrated. And then obviously you have Michael Thomas on the other side. And mind you, they brought in Jared Cook last year. I'm very big on Jared Cook. He had a career high 9 touchdowns with Drew Brees missing 5 games last year. So I believe with an athletic tight end like that you know what Drew Brees does with athletic tight ends. I'm not saying he's Jimmy Graham, but Jimmy Graham ain't shit without Drew Brees. And that's because,
obviously,
you know, he made him. He made him.
Jimmy Graham left and he became nothing.
Exactly. But see, Jared Cook actually has a little bit of talent to him, and he's a very athletic freak. If you look at the tape, bro, this guy jumps out. Like, it's crazy with Jared Cook. He's very underrated for his athleticism. But I feel like with those 9 career touchdowns that he had, that Emmanuel Sanders, Alvin Kamara had a bad year, and that boy can catch. And yes. Michael Thomas on the other side, and you just added another young piece on the offensive line with Ruiz. I think Drew Brees has a really good chance. I don't think he's going to want to retire if he knows that record is up for grabs. So, I don't know.
See, this is where I disagree at. So, Drew Brees is already getting offers to commentate. He's already getting nice offers. That's lucrative. You're not getting hit. You're not getting hurt no more. People aren't jumping on you. You don't have to sling the ball so many times every day. He's 40-something years old. That's looking pretty nice to go over there and sit behind that booth and Tony Romo it. You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady. And on top of that, he has a quarterback sitting behind him who the Saints think is a franchise guy. He's not going to sit there for too long before he starts saying, all right, it's my turn. So I think Tom Brady is going to have the longevity over Drew Brees.
What quarterback is that, though? Are you talking about Winston or are you talking about Hill?
Hill. Talking about Hill. But Winston can prove it too. It's I don't know. I've seen flashes of Jameis Winston when I'm like, oh shit, he could compete for MVP for sure. But then the next game he'll throw 6 interceptions and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you're throwing it right to the defender. What are you practicing, man? I don't know if it was his eyesight. He supposedly got his eyesight fixed. But I wish him the best. Jameis Winston has talent. He just hasn't put it together yet. So the Saints have options compared to Blaine Gabbert being behind Tom Brady. If Tom Brady goes down, we might be a little shit out of luck for a little bit.
Yeah. No, let's not hope that happens. I want to see the best of Tom Brady, man. Like I just said, like I admire him. To me, he's the GOAT. I'm just happy he's not in the AFC East. And I was happy that his last game as a Patriot in his stadium, he lost to the Miami Dolphins like he should. And it was just a great way.
Dolphins always bust their ass for some reason. They'll win 2 or 3 games, but best believe it's against the Patriots.
Yeah, no. Tom Brady, his worst career numbers are versus the Dolphins. He just can't, for whatever reason, he just has a tough time with the Dolphins, and it just goes back to rivalry games. You know what I mean? Like guys really
Yes.
like that's our Super Bowl playing, the Pats. So we give it our all, and people on national TV, so they're like, "Mama, look, I'm here!" Like,
Mm-hmm.
so pretty much, yeah,
I feel
man.
that.
But hey, man, I'm really glad that you had me on, man. I really appreciate it. Great talk, man. Bucks, Dolphins,
Hey,
awesome,
let's
man,
go.
awesome.
Where could everybody find you at? You got Instagram, YouTube. Where you at?
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So Instagram, you guys can find me at piggybankpickz.com. And that picks is going to be with a Z at the end. And yeah, man, I do all the fantasy football. I do NFL picks, the handicapping too. So you can make money. I can make money. We can all make money. Break the piggy bank, bro. And yeah, that's where you can find me at. And also, we're on Spotify for Piggybankpickz as well.
Awesome, awesome. All right, I hope I
Yeah.
can get you on here again. The season starts up. We're gonna have a lot
Yes,
to
sir.
talk about, man. I had a great time and hope to talk to you soon.